Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hope you can hear us well. Welcome to the info session for the Master School and Fellowship Open Call 2027 and the RIS Education Open Call 2027. We will have a joint session and we are going to wait just a couple minutes before we get started. But we wanted to let you know that the meeting is being recorded. That's why you should not be able to turn on your camera or your microphone, and you should be able to leave any questions in the Q&A box. The chat should not be enabled. It is easier to keep track of the questions in the Q&A, and please do expect if you start asking as we go, we will actually start replying to the Q&A when we start at 12 after the presentations for both calls and the submission on NetSuite. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Katarzyna Janus, that will introduce the RIS Education Call, and Lucy Pacho, that will talk about the guidelines to submit a proposal on NetSuite, and then I will introduce the Master School and Fellowship call. So I don't know if you want to say hi, Kasia, Lucy?
Good morning, everybody. Great to see, and great to see that we have some RIS partners here as well.
Yeah, welcome, everyone. As Lydia said, if there is any objection about the recording, let us know. But if not, we understand that you're okay, and this recording will be available on the website, on the call webpage.
Thank you, Lucy and Kasia. I actually think that we had quite a lot of people in already, so we might get started now, if that's okay. So, as I was just mentioning, we will start presenting the Master School and Fellowship Open Call. We wanted to highlight some of the key dates for this call for proposals. It opened on May 27, 2026, and it will be opened until the 3rd of September 2026 at 5 Central European Summer Time. No proposals submitted after this time will be accepted, so please ensure that your proposal is submitted on time. And then regarding the other steps that will happen after this, the evaluation of proposals by the external experts will happen between September and October. Then the results will be communicated to the applicants in November, and then we will have the signature of the different agreements in December 2026, with the projects starting ideally on January 1st, 2027, and ending the 31st of December 2027. So, what is this call about? What has the name says, it is about the Master School and the Fellowship Program. So we wanted to give you a bit of an overview of what we are currently doing at the Master School and the Fellowship. So for this, for the Master School, we currently have over 260 students enrolled and 8 partner universities at the moment. The Master School is based on a challenge-driven pan-European 2-year master programs that combine innovation and entrepreneurship training with technology and technical knowledge. We can see here the 2 years that consist of an entry year that happens in one of our partner universities, where students had an introduction to innovation and entrepreneurship. They work on a challenge project, and then of course they also gain some core skills in urban mobility. Then in between the entry and the exit year, students attend a summer school that happens during 2 weeks in the summer in 2 different European cities. We will talk about the summer schools more in a minute. And then we have the exit university that also has a challenge project continuation, electives in urban mobility, electives in innovation and entrepreneurship, and an internship or thesis placement. And then we have a graduation ceremony. And it is very important to mention that our master programs are EIT labeled, which means that they have passed a quality assurance evaluation done by the external experts of the EIT. And you can see here the partners universities that we have right now as part of these programs. And here we wanted to show you the programs that we have at the moment. As part of the master school, we have the Sustainable Urban Mobility Transitions, the Smart Mobility Data Science and Analytics, and the Business Engineering in Urban Mobility. That's a short overview of what we currently have at the master school. And then this is the Urban Mobility, the EIT Urban Mobility INE Fellowship that was launched 3 years ago, so not that recently, and it is designed to complement existing master programs that focus on innovation and entrepreneurship to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in urban mobility. So it does provide students with some additional activities and resources so that they become skilled innovators and entrepreneurs with an urban mobility touch. Here you can see that we had so far over 40 students enrolled and 3 partner universities. And you can see here an overview of the program. While the students are doing their master program at their home university, they have these activities that are supported by EIT Urban Mobility happening on the background. This includes, for example, attendance to the Tomorrow Mobility World Congress in Barcelona in November every year, attendance for free to one of the winter or summer schools that we organize, as well as access to some urban mobility courses and workshops. They also receive the EIT label certificate the same way that in the master school, the fellowship goes through this quality assurance system to ensure that the program fulfills certain criteria. That's long story short of these 2 programs that the call is mainly targeting. And now in some of the main features of the call are that the projects can be between 9 and 12 years long, with a preference in general for the 12. But if you want to submit a shorter project, it's completely fine. There is 1.4 million euros available. There is a minimum requirement, of a 25% of co-funding per proposal, and then there is some financial sustainability required in some activities, but I will go into detail when each activity is presented. And in terms of applicants, some of the activities does allow for a mono-beneficiary application, but some of them does require a consortia. And then for the evaluation criteria, we have a 2-stage evaluation. First, we have the external expert evaluation that will focus on excellence, impact, the quality and efficiency of the implementation, and the strategic fit and EU dimension. You can read more into detail what will exactly be evaluated into each of these sections in the call manual. And then we have the selection committee that will focus on business intelligence and previous experience. Same way that before, this is very well explained in the call manual. So if you have any doubts, you can directly read that information or ask if needed. So now I'll get started with the activities. We have 5 activities covered under this call. The first one is the MSA 1, that is the summer school for master students. It focuses on the organization and delivery of the EIT Urban Mobility summer schools. If you remember from the presentation, the short presentation that I did just now about the master school, in between the entry and the exit year, there was a mandatory summer school. So this is the summer school that the students of the master and fellowship will take place in. These are 2-week programs that combine challenge-based learning, entrepreneurship, and business creation, and they are delivered across 2 cities in 2 different countries. This means that, of course, if you are a consortia, you need to be based in 2 different countries to be able to organize the summer school. These summer schools are targeting our own master and fellowship students, but they also have to attract external participants. Each summer school should host a minimum of 30 participants with around 15 to 20 internal students and at least 15 external participants. The proposals, as I mentioned, must be submitted by multiple partners who will be responsible for the academic content, the recruitment and marketing activities, as well as the travel and accommodation arrangements for the internal students. The financial sustainability is an important aspect for this activity, as the summer schools are expected to generate at least 8,000 euros in external revenue generation through participation or sponsorships. There is also a revenue sharing mechanism that applies. There is more information in the call manual about this. In addition to this, the summer schools must also comply with the EIT label quality standards. They need to have a dedicated website in place by the end of January, and they need to ensure that the travel between the both locations does not involve air travel, so ideally via bus or via train. And the EIT funding available for each proposal is 200,000 euros. Now, moving on for the MSA2, here we are looking to support the development of new master programs that complement the current offer that we have in the portfolio. So we currently have 3 programs, so it needs to be differentiated for those programs. They should combine a strong technical content in urban mobility related fields and innovation entrepreneurship education. It is important to mention that we are open to different program models. Our current master school programs are mostly based on the 2-year double degree structure, but under this call, we are also open to alternative formats as long as they comply with the EIT label principles, lead to a recognized degree, and maintain the focus on technical excellence, challenge-based learning, international exposure, and entrepreneurial impact. The program should also, as I mentioned, differentiate for the existing offer in the master school and should involve industry or city stakeholders in the design and the implementation of it. The programs need to come from a consortium with at least 2 partners that must be led by a higher education institution. Industry partners can also be included. And it is important that right now we are hoping that the students will be able to enroll in autumn 2028 with a minimum of 20 students graduating. Regarding the financial sustainability, it is not required in this proposal. And if the program is accepted for implementation, the master school already generates some financial sustainability through the participation fees. The EIT funding available for this activity is 120,000 euros. And then if the implementation, as I will mention after this, we are based on a 2-stage approach. First, you need to get the proposal funded through the call, and then after some alignments with the master school leadership, if it's decided that the program fits our criteria, it will move forward, and then the implementation funding will be allocated through the EIT Urban Mobility business plan directly. And then we have the other option to join the master school, that is the MSA3, that is new universities to join existing EIT Urban Mobility master school programs. Here we focus on expanding the master school programs by bringing new university partners and to include new geographies. It is important, as mentioned already before, that the programs need to be aligned with the existing portfolio and comply with the EIT label requirements. The main goal here is to support the universities to join the programs, the 3 existing programs that we currently have. It's not about creating, as in the case of MSA2, a new program from scratch. It's just to support an alignment with the 3 programs that we currently have: the Sustainable Urban Mobility Transitions, the Smart Mobility Data Science and Analytics, and the Business Engineering in Urban Mobility program. You can find more information about these programs in the call manual. If you have a program that might be a match and want to check what exactly is going on within those programs. The partner requirements are that the proposals must be submitted by an unique partner. We do not allow consortia to apply for this call. And then there will be an alignment with the master school. to agree on the ECTS, the curricular equivalence, the program schedule, and the entry and exit role, as well as on the admission requirements and the awarded degree. For the financial sustainability is the same that just mentioned for the MSA2. It is not required in the proposal. And the end, these two activities are mostly to try to find an alignment with the master's goal, so there will not be any students enrolled during the duration of these projects. But if the program is accepted for implementation, the financial sustainability will come through the tuition fees. There is a maximum EIT funding of 40,000 euros per proposal for this activity, and then we do expect a minimum of 10 students graduated once the program has started. As I was just mentioning, I touched base on this slightly already, but once a proposal is submitted, it will go through the first stage of approval, that is whether or not through the external evaluation and the proposal will be accepted or not. If the proposal is accepted, we will go into program development. If the proposal is not accepted, that's where the journey will finish. And then when the program development starts, there is a whole process of alignment. If it's a new program, it will be to ensure that there is differences between our current program, that the model of the program fulfills the criteria for the EIT label. And then if it's to join an existing program, to ensure, of course, that that program fulfills the learning goals of our current master programs. If once we are here in the stage 2, it is decided that the program is a match, we go into the program execution part, and then as it was said before, the execution budget will be assigned through the EIT Urban Mobility business plan directly. Now, moving on from the master school, we have the Innovation Entrepreneurship Program that to join the Innovation Entrepreneurship Fellowship, MSA4. Here, we aim to support existing and well-established innovation entrepreneurship programs at a master level to join the fellowship. The programs must be at least 1 year long or 60 ECTS and lead to a master degree, and as well as comply with the EIT label standards. As of now, of the 3 partner universities that we have one program that is 60 ECTS, one that is 90, and one that is 120. So there is quite a lot of variety there, and everything works just fine. Then the goal is to integrate these programs into the fellowship model and to encourage students to develop the entrepreneurial, the problem solving, and the innovation skills in the international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary environment. In this case, we also accept only mono-participant proposals, and then the programs must have the potential to attract at least 10 students to sign up for the fellowship, and with an expectation of having 6 completing the fellowship in the program cohort. Regarding the financial sustainability, there is no revenue target required, and the EIT funding available is 30,000 euros per proposal. And then last but not least, we have the MSA5 that is focused on educational activities that directly contribute to the startup creation by students and graduates of EIT label program. I want to make here an important mark that even though we are talking about the EIT label program, this program also should fulfill the requirements of the EIT label, because it will be likely be sent to the EIT label for no degree education system. I know it's a bit complicated, all the EIT label terms, but it is very well explained in the call manual, and you can always ask via email if there is need for further clarification. But the main thing, the message is that the goal, the target for these activities are not only our internal students, but also to attract external students. The idea within this activity is to go beyond the general entrepreneurial awareness. We are looking for activities that help students move from an innovation or business idea toward an actual venture building, and if possible, the legal incorporation of a startup. These can include incubation programs, market validation support, a testbed for student innovation, co-founder matchmaking, or a specific training for funders. And then other formats can also be considered if there is a clear path towards achieving the 5.1 KPI. And then these proposals should explain how the student project will be selected, how the founders will be supported, and how they will connect with the relevant stakeholders such as industry, cities, or other ecosystem actors. And then regarding the department requirements, we accept we accept both multi-participants and mono-participants proposal, as long as the methodology is well explained. It's completely fine. And then regarding the financial sustainability, there is not a required financial sustainability, but it is encouraged to have some financial sustainability coming from participation fees or sponsorships. We have 90,000 euros available per proposal, and the KPI target is at least 3 startups created. That's it from the 5 activities that we are supporting in the Master School and Fellowship Open Call. But there are some considerations that are important for all the activities. The first one is that the proposals should have clear the SMART objectives. The objectives need to be specific, measurable, and realistic, and they should clearly connect the expected results and impact of the activity. Then we have the EIT label. This is essential across all the activities funded under this call. And depending on the type of activity, it might relate to the degree education, in the case for MSA2 and MSA3, to the fellowship EIT label for MSA5, and for the non-degree education for MSA1 and MSA5. But again, the key point is that the proposals need to show this alignment with the relevant EIT label quality standards. You will see through the questions in the proposal that this is explicitly asked. So it will be quite easy to fulfill this part. And then all activities must follow the EIT Urban Mobility branding and communication guidelines to help promote the value of EIT label and EIT Urban Mobility. And now my last slide is regarding the mandatory deliverables. There are 3, and we do recommend you to stick to these 3. At least you can always include more, but these 3 must be present on the proposal. I will not go into detail on each of them, but we have the student recruitment plan, which will be due on the 28th of February 2027, so it remains a plan. Then we have the curriculum or activity design and outline. Here we have 2 different options for MSA1 and MSA5 that are the non-degree EIT label approach. We have a deadline on the 31st of May 2027, and then for those activities that are to join the master school or the fellowship, the deadline is the 31st of August. And then for the activity report, we set the deadline on the 31st of December. Of course, you are always welcome to set the deadline earlier, but we do not want the deliverables to be sent later. And this comes from the fact that this year we have tried to harmonize a bit better how we work with the EIT label for non-degree education. And we think that this will really help for those activities that need to also submit the EIT label for non-degree to schedule and harmonize better between the deliverables and what is required in the EIT label different steps. So now that's it from me. I will pass on the word to Kasia.
Thank you, Lydia. If you have any questions for Lydia, please put them in a Q&A box, and we will handle them after my presentation and Lucy's presentation at the end of the session. Let me just see if it works. Okay, great. So I'm going to talk to you about the RIS Education call, which is also part of the Academy call. And the disclaimer is that you have all the information in call manual, and this is your main document to refer to. So before submitting any application, please make sure that you read the call manual as thoroughly as possible because all the information is there. But basically, let's go to the RIS Education Call. So what is RIS? I think most of you are familiar with it. RIS is a regional innovation scheme introduced by EIT, and the idea is to improve the innovation levels in the countries that are below the average on the European Innovation Scoreboard. So here you can see actually on the map, and also there is a list what the RIS countries are. And this is very important because this is one of the eligibility criteria that the consortium needs to have at least one RIS country. So even when your country is not EU, but is a Horizon Europe associated country, but is not a RIS country, you will not be eligible. So this is really, really important to take this into consideration. So what are the key dates? So the call has been open since the 1st of June, and the proposals, we will be receiving the proposals till the end of 8th of September 2026, this year, exactly 5 o'clock. Please make sure that you do not submit at 4:59 because there might be technical issues with the platform when everybody starts to submit at the same time. So just allow for some buffer with the time, and ideally just submit the day before. That is the ideal situation. And if you have any problems, we will still be able to help you. At 5:59, 4:59, this is very unlikely that we are gonna solve your problems in a minute. And after you submit the proposals, we are going to have the evaluation phase. We are going to be working with the external evaluation. So this is going to happen September, October. And we hope to communicate the results in November, December 2026 this year. And just to clarify, we are working with a condition clearing. So when your proposal is accepted for the first time, you still will receive a list of conditions that you have to clarify, and only after you've done this, your proposal is finally approved. And this hopefully will be done before Christmas. And then we hope to start the projects around the 1st of February. However, this is depending on your proposal. Later dates are also allowed. And we are ending the projects in November 28th. So you see, this is a difference with the master school where the projects are just for 1 year. In this case, we allow projects up to 23 months. So these are the main features. So as I said, the duration of the projects is usually between actually 9 months to 23 months until November 28th. But please do not go for the maximum duration of the project. Do not take it as a default option. Your duration has to be in line with your project objectives and your project activities. So we also accept projects that are shorter, and this is fine. There will be no exclusion, or there will be no differentiation in the evaluation based on the length, but you just have to make sure that there is a compliance with your activities and objectives. For the funding, this is the project. This is the call where we have the most funding ever. So this is 2.6 million for 2 years. So there's quite a lot of funding available, which is very good news. And then there is also co-funding. So for most of the project, we require 25% of the co-funding, and for one of the activities that I'm going to explain later, it is 50% of co-funding. And for the financial sustainability, this is required for the winter and the summer schools, which will also be elaborated later. And for the applicants, we have the mono beneficiaries and the we have the mono beneficiaries and the consortia. And I'm going to elaborate on this in this slide. So for the evaluation criteria, as I said, we have a 2-stage evaluation process. So first of all, we are working with the external experts to evaluate your proposals. And you can see these are the criteria we are working with. And it's really important that you have a look at them, because this is what the experts are going to be looking at. So the more you align with the evaluation criteria, the higher your projects will score. And then after the external evaluation, the proposals that are scoring above 50 on the 70 scale will go to the selection committee. And then there we are going to assess the strategic fit of the proposals with the objectives of EIT Urban Mobility, and also the track record and the previous experience of the entities in implementing similar projects, not only with EIT Urban Mobility, but also other Horizon Europe or national, international projects. And then about the eligibility, so basically, as I said, all the EU and Horizon Europe associated countries can apply, but it's very important that there is at least one RIS country. And then you can have a consortium, and then the consortium needs to have a one RIS country, or we also welcome mono-beneficiary proposals, so the proposal can be submitted by one entity, but in this case, you must be from a RIS country. So just to keep in mind, there has to be always a RIS country in your proposal. If there is none, the proposal will be ineligible and will not assess it further. Now let's talk about the project. So basically this is an education call. So we are looking for projects that will deliver trainings. And those trainings, they should support the overall RIS strategy, which is basically improving the innovation levels in the RIS countries. But those proposals need to have a very neat and place-based approach, meaning that they have to be rooted in the needs of the territory and the people that they are addressing. So it cannot be abstract. It needs to have a local base and local justification why those projects are needed. Then we are going to fund the new activities. So you can design completely new training activities, educational activities that has the potential to be scaled up. Or also you can create synergies with activities that are already existing. They can be local activities. So for example, local trainings, or you can also create synergies with other EU projects that you're already running. And we also encourage, but this is not mandatory and it will not impact your evaluation. You can also decide on this collaboration between the RIS and non-RIS partners, where the non-RIS partners maybe provide some sort of expertise to the RIS regions. But again, you can decide to do this like this, but if you only decide to operate in the RIS region, this is also okay. The target group, the call is very wide, so we are basically addressing all possible target groups, but again, if well justified and relevant. So we are addressing here the students. They can be the target groups of your activities, professionals, so the industry, the cities. We have quite a lot of proposals in the past coming from the cities to train the civil servants. We are also working with the professors, mentors, and the trainers to build educational capacities at the universities. And also we are working with the youth. And now I'm gonna go through the 5 activity topics that we have. So similar to master school, the structure is similar, but the activity topics are very different. So the first one is the capacity building in innovation and entrepreneurship in urban mobility. So here basically the idea is to design training programs that are going to improve innovation and entrepreneurship knowledge of your target groups. And these are activities actually typically for the students. We also have a special category of the supporting of the researchers. So we often know that, for example, PhD researchers, they're working, they have very good ideas, they have very good research projects, but often they do not know how to commercialize the research. So the idea is that the projects support that. And also we are working quite a lot with projects supporting the training for the youth, for the young people aged between 12 and 19, and teaching them already the basics of innovation and entrepreneurship. And here the maximum funding per proposal is up to 300,000 euros. So this is up to 23 months. But again, you do not have to use the whole budget. You can also have proposals with a lower budget if this is suitable for your activities. And you can here look at the KPIs. So the main KPIs for us are the number of participants in your training, and here the value is 50, and also the number of new courses developed, and here the value is 1. And then for the second one, activity topic, this is the training in urban mobility, and that one focuses on creating concrete trainings in the domain of urban mobility. So they are more, let's say, technical courses, but again, they also need to be rooted in the needs of the groups you're working with and in the needs of the territory you're working with. And again, this can be a bit more technical topics, but you can also focus on topics about social regulatory innovation, citizen engagement, behavior change, governance, stakeholder management, and participation, because we see that these are also very relevant issues, especially for the cities to manage in terms of urban mobility. And here again, the funding is the same, so it's up to 300,000 euros, up to 23 months, and it's the same KPIs as previously. And the activity topic 3 are the summer and the winter schools. And here we are funding the summer and the winter schools for the bachelor students. So do not confuse it with the master students, the master school courses, which are for the master students. Here we have summer schools and winter schools for the bachelor students, actually with the idea that those students participating in those winter and summer schools will later enter our master school program. So this, in a way, this acts as a funnel into our master school. And here, the idea is that you organize a one-week challenge-based summer on the winter school. It has to be challenge-based, as I said, and in collaboration with the cities and the industry. We really want good quality participants, since later we want them to apply to the master school. So we want a very rigorous two-step recruitment process to select minimum 35 participants, but also not way more than 35, because we realize 35 is an optimal size to keep the group interactive and engaged. And please look at the call manual, because we have specific requirements regarding the background of the students. And here the funding is 90,000 euro per edition. And if you want to organize 2 editions for 2 years, then the funding is 180,000 euros. And here we have a financial sustainability mechanism. So for each edition, you need to bring 4,000 euros in revenues that are paid back to EIT Urban Mobility, and they usually come from the participation fees. And here the KPI it's a bit different. Here we encourage the summer and the winter schools to obtain the label, the EIT label. So this is something that was mentioned during the master school. So this is the quality assurance label, and the projects will need to go through this process to obtain this label, which is fairly straightforward, and we will guide you through the process. So in most of the cases, it's successful for the project. And then the activity topic number 5, this is 4, sorry. This is the scaling up of local initiatives. So here the idea is that you already have a training program that exists in your country or in your city or at your university, but you feel like the program can be improved, can be scaled up to other cities or to other stakeholders. So basically, with this activity, we are going to fund that. So it's an expansion of already existing programs into wider, bigger programs to reach more stakeholders or new geographies. And here the maximum funding is 140,000 euros up to 23 months again, and the co-funding is 50%. So you're expected to bring 50% of the costs from your side or the funding from your side, because the program already exists. So there is an initial investment already there. So this is why it's a 50%. But the KPIs are quite low for this because we got feedback that maybe sometimes it's challenging to get so many participants for the program. So the KPIs are 30 here. And the last one is network building with educational players. So this is a little bit opposite to the activity number 4. In this activity number 5, basically the idea is to, first of all, bring all the relevant stakeholders into the same table to discuss what are the educational needs in terms of urban mobility and innovation and entrepreneurship in RIS countries, and align or agree on a certain strategy that then later will lead to the creation of the new projects. So basically here you don't really deliver any training, you don't create any training, but this is more creating a network. So you bring the people to the same table to let them discuss, and then the outcome should be a common educational strategy. So here you can organize events, networking events, workshops, participatory workshops where people brainstorm together on the future of education in the region. And here the funding is maximum 70,000 euro per project, and these are the projects for 1 year, so up to 12 months. And the KPI is again participants in the training, and the value is 20. So these are all the activities that we are covering with this call. But there are some cross-cutting consideration that we are paying attention to, and also the evaluators will be paying attention to. So the first one is we strongly encourage the trainings to be organized in person, because our experience shows that the value of online trainings is very limited, and also the impact is very limited. So for the projects to have longer lasting impacts, we believe bringing the participants into one place works much better. If justified, you can also have some modules online, but not fully online. So it can be hybrid mode, but not 100% online. And there has to be a good justification for the online modules. Then again, we would like the trainings to have more of the longitudinal approach. So it's not that you organize one workshop and you call this a training. There has to be several modules over a period of time where the participants learn slowly through different modules about the project, about the topic, and this allows them to go more in depth into the topic, so they really become experts after the training. And also, ideally, there is also some homework in between the modules. Of course, we work with gender mainstreaming, so please pay special attention to recruitment and having a balanced gender participation in your training, but also in the consortium. Then it's important for us that you integrate the knowledge triangle. So these are the research institutions, industry, and cities into your proposal. They don't have to be all as consortium members, so this is not a requirement, but it's important that you explain how they are going to be involved in the project. And then lastly, so I will not stress it enough, it has to be need specific and it has to be place specific. So your trainings really need to make sense for the target group you're working with and the needs this target group has, and the place where you're organizing this training that has to be linked to this place. Otherwise, again, maybe the impact is not as strong as we would expect it. And finally, it is important for us that your trainings are scalable and replicable. So when designing the training, think of the elements that could be scaled up to other geographies, other stakeholders, and replicated as well in different settings. So this is it for me. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in a Q&A chat box, in a Q&A box, not a chat box, and then we'll take them at the end. And now Lucy will explain the practical aspects of NetSuite submission. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Kasia. I saw some questions. Perhaps it could be useful if the questions are addressed to either Master School or RIS Education, perhaps if you could also mention. But anyway, we will address all of them after this practical part. So, guidelines on proposal submission on NetSuite. I thought that the most useful for you would be to see a demo. So we will start, here you have all the slides and all the screenshots, but I will show you directly on the platform. Just as a preliminary note, remember that to participate, you need to obtain the PIC number. So this PIC number must be obtained via the Funding and Tenders portal of the European Commission. It may take you 5 to 10 minutes to obtain it, and then you will get the PIC number with the status of declared. So just for you to know, with this PIC number, even if it's declared, you can already apply for this call. So let's go. I will change the screen. Let's go to the platform directly. So now I'm sharing here. When you enter NetSuite, you will have to go to Grant Management Open Calls. Okay. And you will see all the calls that are currently open. In our case, we are talking about RIS Education and Master School. Okay. As I have some draft applications, I will go directly to the application that is in progress. So the applications will be saved here under My Applications. And here I had these tests. So for example, Master School. Under the main information tab, you will see the IT proposal number. So this ID is the project number. the system generates it automatically. Then you need to choose the title and the acronym. Remember, these are public names, so try to put an acronym that is clear and descriptive enough for you. Then you will need to select start and end date. The total budget and EIT funding, so this part will be retrieved automatically from the budget section. So don't worry for the time being about these fields. Okay, they will appear automatically when the other sections are filled in. The executive summary is public. So remember, don't reveal if you have any confidential information, don't reveal it here. So the executive summary should describe the value proposition, and you have this limit of characters. Then you include some keywords, and you continue with the other section that is the partner information. Here, in case you are a consortia and you need to include other partners, because here, as this is a test, but the person that creates the application is the person that will be able to submit the proposal. So this person will need to add the other partners. In order to add the other partners, you need to include the PIC number that I mentioned at the beginning. In case you work with an entity that already has a PIC number, make sure it's the right PIC number. We had a lot of cases of wrong typing, or by mistake you are provided with a PIC number that is not correct. So double check this in the guidelines for applicants that I will show later. You have the link to the Funding and Tenders portal where you can double check. You put the PIC number and it gives you the information to make sure it's correct. So you introduce the PIC number and the entity will appear. So here, I will not add another one, but in case it would be necessary, you click on the plus here and you introduce the PIC number. But now I don't need to add any other new partner. And then you have the option to include a co-editor. So the co-editor will be able to see the proposal, work on the proposal, but be careful with this option because the system does not allow two people to work on the application at the same time. And we had problems with this, particularly if you're working, last minute, the day of the submission, the day of the deadline. This is not a good idea. So make sure someone is working and then do not do it in parallel. This is about partner information tab. Then you have the project scope. Here you have all the questions, okay? So as my colleagues said, try to be focused, smart objectives, clear enough, and really show that what you're doing, that what you're promising, what you're describing is not empty. So we need clear evidence. Particularly think about the evaluator. So the evaluators need the means to assess your proposals. So here you have all the questions. Pay attention to the limits of characters. Okay. So the questions. Then risk management plan. So you need to add the risk here. It's a table, so you add the risks. You add the financial sustainability if applicable. If not, you just put 0 and then not applicable will be the explanation. And you continue in the work plan. The work plan tab, the work plan section is interlinked to the budget section. I highlight this because the way you structure the work plan will be reflected in the budget part. You will have work packages depending on each project. Normally, all projects have a work package for project management. So in this case, I just put project management. Very important. When you put the project leader, if the project leader will be actually contributing and working and will have a budget, the project leader also needs to be a contributor. Why? Because if you don't include here as a contributor, you will not have it reflected in the budget. And I will show you here. You see, now we have only this test customer, not the one, not the previous one. And this is because it's not a contributor. Okay. So work package leader should also be added as a contributor in order to have the corresponding column in the budget. Then you add the deliverables. Remember, for each call, check those that correspond. Lydia showed very clearly the 3 mandatory deliverables. For RIS Education, go to the call manual and check it carefully. The same with the KPI. So you need to add the corresponding KPI. In this case, I added this one as an example. So if you add, you need to choose the year. Imagine that in the case of RIS Education, if you have a 2-year project, then you will have one for 2027 and one for 2028. Okay. Supporting documents. In both calls, the supporting documents are optional. Okay, so you can submit a document, but you will need to, if you have more than one document, you will need to merge the documents and upload only one file. We have this limit of 10 megabytes. And the budget part, as I said, is linked to the work plan. And here you will need to add the description. How much you need to describe? To the extent that is necessary for the evaluators to see that the costs are relevant. So if you include employees, so describe a little bit, like you expect, I don't know, 5 people to work on this work package, 10 people. So describe a little bit. You don't have to write pages, but at least a paragraph that is clear enough for the evaluators to see that the costs are necessary. The same if you have, for example, travel and subsistence, explain a little bit. So which kind of travel and why they are needed. Other goods and services, imagine that you need to prepare leaflets, brochures, posters for a conference. Okay, try to explain it. Explain as much as possible. And apart from adding the description, pay attention to the co-funding requirements. As Lydia said, for master school is 25%. For RIS Education, most activities 25%, but we have one exception that Kasia explained, that is 50%. So be careful here. If the limit is not respected, you will not be able to submit. So the system will block the submission. But you will not know until the very end when you click on submit. The system will show you so what is missing or what is wrong. This submit button can be used also as a validation. So for example, here I have some things that are wrong. But you see, if I try to submit, I will see what is missing. So you can also use it as a validation button. But what I wanted to advise you is the following. If we go to the call web pages, for example, Master School, my advice is to download the guidelines for applicants, and apart from reading the details of each, work on the questions here from the scope. Work on each of the questions offline, because of what we said, because you need to. So if you are several people working at the same time, you may have issues, with the co-editor profile. So once everything is clear, you can copy paste into the system. And again, we already mentioned this, don't do it the last day, do it early enough. Okay, so for both calls, you have the guidelines. In RIS Education, you also have the guidelines for applicants and the questions. So the same. If you go to the protoscope, you have all the questions and the descriptions and the number of characters for you to work on this. Another tip would be to have a look at all the documents, so list of KPI, then also have a look at the financial support agreement. So the financial support agreement, so we have the template there. This agreement is what you sign between, so you as a partner, as an entity, and EIT Urban Mobility. We signed one FSA that is valid for the whole business plan. Okay, this financial support agreement is in principle the same for everybody. So it's not open to negotiation. I mentioned this because to avoid surprises, if you want to adapt it to your country, to your needs, it may not be possible. So have a look at the template. Have a look at the declaration of honor as well, if you would like. Here, my colleagues also provided useful documents. Here in the case of Master School, and here for RIS, we also have some. And well, Lydia also mentioned the communication guidelines, which are also applicable to both calls. And I think that as for the tips, that's all. We had some final recommendations, which I may share here. They are just reminders. Let me see if I can share the last slide. Sorry. Okay. So as I said, have a look at all the documents. Don't wait for the last minute or day. And we have this email. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. And now I think it would be good to address all questions. So maybe we can stop sharing. And let's open the Q&A. Shall we go in order, Lydia, Kasia, or how do you prefer?
Yeah, that's good.
Sounds good. I think that the first question was if the presentation will be sent to the participants, which the answer is that the presentation and the recording on the session will be published on the call pages, but we will not be sending an email to the participants. So if you have any questions or if you're struggling to find it, you can contact us at the email that Lucy mentioned, but you will not be receiving an email with the presentation. You will have it on both call websites.
Then the next one, do we need to include all of the target groups in the project and activities, or we can choose between those target groups?
This is a good question. No, please don't. Please be as specific as possible so you can choose only one target group. And in fact, this is better when you focus on one target group and design more in-depth training activities for them. We saw in the past that the trainings focusing on multiple groups do not create a lot of value. So the approach here is that you choose one target group, maximum two, and then you go more in depth. And if you choose more than one, please make sure that your training activities are tailored to those different groups. So you don't design the same training for the same group, for the two groups. I hope that helps.
Good. The next one is citizen engagement is mentioned, but citizens are not mentioned explicitly as target group for activities. Urban regions are mentioned explicitly. Would it still make sense to address rural regions?
So for the citizen engagement, indeed, citizens are not mentioned, and this is a mistake on our side. So yes, citizens are also eligible, or they are the target group. And for the rural regions, we are urban mobility, so we are working on urban mobility issues. However, if you, for example, want to address the issue of the suburban connectivity, the rural-urban transport, or the transport poverty, linking cities and the countryside, that's okay, but there has to be the urban component. So only working on the rural regions is not aligned with the scope of the call or our strategic objectives also.
Good.
Okay.
We have another question. Could you please let us know if there is a dedicated partner search platform, matchmaking tool, networking event, or community where organizations can connect and form consortia for this call? So this applies to both calls. It's relevant for both.
We do not have this. However, if you are looking for consortium partners, you can always drop us an email into the mailbox that Lucy mentioned, and then we might try to see if there are any good possible partners that we could match you with.
Yes, same applies for the Master School and Fellowship call. We don't have a platform, but we're always happy to try and connect you with someone else that might be interested.
And if you visit our webpage, EIT Urban Mobility, we also have relevant information there. So about partnership and activities can help. And then another one for RIS Education is the training model without direct program delivery focused on training educators, facilitators eligible under RIS is 4 or RIS 5?
It's difficult to say because I don't really know the context of the project, or I don't know what is your idea in particular. So I would advise that again you drop us an email with a more explanation, and then we can help you, because this is also specifically under RIS 4 and 5. But in general, if you're organizing a train the trainer, I would suggest at least one pilot training would be nice to also get that feedback and validation on your train the trainer model. So I would say yes in general, but here we are talking under RIS Education 4 and 5, but I do not know details. So please again drop me an email and explain better what you have in mind.
Good. Follow-up question: the importance of local needs is mentioned, and so are pilots. Does this refer to training needs and training pilots, or in general?
I'm not sure what it's meant here, but it's training pilots. But basically in the application form, you have a section where you have to justify or explain the needs that you're going to be addressing. And here it's very important to explain the local needs that the training will be addressing. So I would say it refers to the training needs, but as I'm not sure what the training pilots are here, I cannot fully answer this question.
You can, the person that wrote this one perhaps can put a
Explain. Yeah.
Explain or follow-up question. Here there is one for the NetSuite part. If I click submit and there are no validation errors, what happens next? Will the system ask me to confirm the submission, or will the proposal be submitted immediately and the process completely? Also, after submission, is it possible to modify and resubmit the proposal, or is only one submission allowed? Great. Thanks for asking this, because I will show you. So what happens when you click submit? This is the guidelines for applicants. Imagine that you finish the application and everything is correct. If you click on submit, you will still have this window. And make it bigger. So you have the warning. You're about to submit the final version of your proposal. After the submission, it is no longer possible to edit your proposal. So that's why I said you can use it as a validation button, because it will give you what is missing or the errors. But if all is good, you will get this message. And only after you click on OK, it will be submitted. So you will not be able to edit it unless, imagine, you realize that is a clerical error before the submission. Contact us and we can find a solution. But in principle, from your side, you will not be able to edit.
I have one question. I am archiving all the questions that are answered, so it's easier for us to keep track. But I saw that someone replied to an archive question, and the question is it mandatory to have activities in each RIS? RIS 1, RIS 2, 3, 4, 5?
This is also a very good question. No, you choose one. So you choose one RIS and then you focus your activities on that one. So you do not need to cover all of them.
Good.
Do we have more questions?
Lydia, do you see any other questions?
Yes, there is one that just came in. During the implementation of projects, can pre-financing applications be submitted? If so, under what conditions?
I don't see this one written here, but what is the person asking? I'm not sure I understood.
The pre-financing, I think I can answer this one.
So it's referring to the payment scheme then?
Yes, it's the payment scheme.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, or if not, I can complement.
Right now, our financial payment scheme says that all partners will get a 20% pre-financing of their project budget once all the legal documents are properly signed.
Yeah. Also, it could help. Let me share this quickly, because I think it could be very helpful for everybody. If you go to any of the two pages, have a look at the project implementation handbook. And in particular, so here you have about the reviews. Okay. Pay attention to this, because this table shows what will happen depending on the duration of the project. You may have an interim review or more, so depending on the duration. And then you also have the information about, so here the details, and you can have a look at the payment scheme. It'll be quicker. Go to payment scheme. So here you have the table. Okay, so have a look. But as Lydia said, so to summarize, all entities, regardless of the type, if it's NGO, universities, or SME, you will have a 20%. But have a look at the table, because again, depending on the duration, if you have an interim report, an interim payment will be linked to the interim report. So this could be useful.
We got a new question. Could you explain more about financial sustainability? How is it being coordinated? I can answer how this is done for the master school. It depends, as I mentioned, within the 5 activities. Only 2 of them could actually bring in directly during the project duration financial sustainability, which is the summer schools, and then the MSA 5, which was related with the incubator programs and others. This is being monitored on in general. We meet with the project leads on a monthly basis, and this is the type of questions that we always ask. How are you doing with the external participation? How is the financial sustainability going? And then there is a target. And that's how we coordinate about it. Then you can find more specific information on the call manual regarding how it works, regarding how the partners can bring in that financial sustainability to EIT Urban Mobility. Kasia, I don't know if Andres.
Lydia, we usually either sign an invoice,
Yes,
a
commercial agreement,
or we sign a commercial agreement with the project, and you're supposed to deliver the revenue back to us at the end of the project.
In the case, for example, of the summer schools, we have a revenue sharing agreement. So part of the revenue comes back to EIT Mobility, and then depending on the amount, the partners can also keep, will also keep part of it.
But you have to fulfill the minima that we specified. This we need to receive. Okay, more questions.
There is another one.
Yeah, I'm revising, but which one, Lydia? Could you read it?
In RIS 4, is it possible to have 2 partners from one country only?
Yes, that's possible. So as we said, you can have participants, you can have an international consortium coming from different RIS countries, but you can also have consortium only in one country. So this is possible. We encourage that. And on that note, maybe something I want to mention is that we often see the value of working in local languages regarding the trainings. So when designing your training, please also take this into consideration, what language you're going to be using. And we strongly advise that this is the local language, because it works better with most of the people that you're going to be training.
Just in case, a comment about this. So be careful, because the conditions for master schools are different. So check the eligibility criteria are not the same in this regard.
Yes.
Yep.
In the case of the master school call, we have only one activity that will allow for programs to be in a different language than English, which is MSA 4, programs to join the fellowship. There we can accept programs in the local language, but for all the other activities, the program must be in English.
If you have any doubts, again, just drop us an email and we'll be happy to clarify.
I don't see any other question. I only left one question open regarding the pilots, because it needed further clarification, but I don't see that anyone has replied. So maybe we can give a couple more minutes to see if there is any other question coming in.
I think that we answered all of them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe just a general comment as well. We tend to receive more and more applications, so the call is becoming competitive. So when you're writing your proposal, and this is Lucy already stressed, just please be as clear as possible in what you're planning to do, because this really is going to define your evaluation outcomes. So you have to be very clear in what you're writing and what you're designing, because the evaluators, they don't read between the lines, and they also have very short time for the evaluation. So the clearer you are, actually, the better for you and for your evaluation. So please take this into consideration. Has to be very practical and very operationalized as well. So everything you write has to be supported by numbers or concrete plans that you're going to implement in your project.
We have a new question. Are the eligibility criteria for both calls the same in terms of the countries of participating partners?
No, and be careful. Yeah, because in master school, you need different countries, right, Lydia?
Yes, for some of the the consortia activities, you do need to be, for example, for the master school, you need to be based in 2 different countries to create a new program in most cases. For the summer schools, it's the same because students need to be in 2 different countries, in 2 cities. So yes, and then of course, as well, Kasia, if you want to, all Horizon Europe partners and Horizon Europe third countries are eligible, but for in the case of RIS, there is also
the risk component. So there has to be always a risk country. And again, you can have if you choose to work only in the risk country, you can only work in one country with one partner or several legal entities from the same country, or you can have an international consortium. But in the international consortium, there has to be always a risk partner as well.
Yeah, just to share quickly. So in both call manuals, you will find the same section. So in this case, I opened the one for master school, eligibility criteria. So section 5.2. So you see here, multi-participant proposal must consist of at least 2 independent countries from 2 different eligible countries. Okay, and in RIS Education, this is different. So I suggest you examine this section very, very carefully.
Again, please read the call manual as much as possible, even several times, just to make sure you don't miss anything.
Yes. And I think that this also goes sometimes for partners that have applied for calls in the past, at least on our end for the master school and fellowship call. Quite a lot of things have changed. So please read the new questions. Do not wait until the last minute, because if you are trusting that your old application might be able to more or less work around it to submit the new one, that will likely not be the case. Because there are new questions a bit more specific this time. So be aware. And again, we are also aware that this might raise some extra concerns of questions on your end. So we are always available to answer those through the inbox.
There is one more question. Is a non-profit organization based in Bulgaria eligible to apply for one of the programs?
I would say yes, but you need to have a big number.
I don't know if this person would like to specify if it's for master school or RIS education. So in principle, yes, but we need to, check in detail if finally you comply with the requirements.
In the case of a master school, we can accept non-profit organizations, but of course it will mostly apply for the summer school organizations, MSA 1, MSA 5, the activities to support the venture creation, because of course for entities to join the master school, unless it's has part of a new consortia that they might be a partner with a higher education institution. But we always required in MSA 2, MSA 3, and MSA 4 a higher education institution to be included has at the end there is a degree, an university degree being awarded. So that's an important point.
For RIS education, it's not a requirement that you have higher education institution in a consortium. So the setup can be different, and we also accept non-profit organizations. And then there is a question about RIS education. Does the training in RIS 4 need to be delivered in every country of the partners, or we can choose one country for training and other partners act as supporters in other VPs? Possible. I cannot say yes, I cannot say no now at the moment, because it really depends on the design of your proposal and what are your plans are, what is the training about, who are the partners, and what the supporting partners do as well. So again, if you're unsure, because I'm unsure now about your project, please send us an email, and we will help with more details about your plans, and then we will support you further with that.
Do you see any other question?
I don't.
I'm checking, but no, I think.
No, I don't see any.
No. Okay.
So I think that
We're done.
yes, I think that the general message is just in case, of course, right now the call just opened, you might not have had time to read the call manuals, but if any question arises during the next 2 months, you can always reach out. 2 months and a half, you can always reach out, and we'll do our best to answer your questions or new one. No, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Have a very good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.